Today, since I was off work, I invited my mother-in-law, Linda, to take a walk since the weather was nice. Linda agreed enthusiastically, and as we were walking through the neighborhood park, enjoying the pleasant sunlight, I received a call from my husband, Kevin.
It's serious. Mom seems to have collapsed.
What, Linda? What is he talking about? Linda is right here next to me.
Yeah. So, I decided to go back home for a while.
Oh, I see. While I was confused, Linda, who had overheard, smiled sweetly and said,
Let's keep me a secret.
She said quietly, so Kevin couldn't hear, and put her index finger in front of her mouth.
I'll be back by next Tuesday. Bye.
Kevin said abruptly, and hung up the phone. What is going on? A few days later, Kevin finally came back. How was Linda?
She seems to be not doing too well.
Kevin sat on the couch with a serious look.
We might only have a little time left to spend with Mom.
That's so. Since then, Linda and I have been in regular contact, getting various preparations underway. Unaware of any of this, Kevin muttered something about being troubled and started fiddling with his smartphone. Right after that,
Will you marry me?
in my 5th year in New York, I found myself dining at a 3-star restaurant, something I couldn't have imagined before. My boyfriend, whom I met here, proposed to me. Today is the happiest day of my life. I vowed to live my life with this man. Yes, it was the day I made that promise in my heart. I am Mary. I moved to this city after both of my parents passed away, realizing I had lived a sheltered life back in my small town. When I first came to New York, I was stunned by the height of the buildings and the crowds, and I stood frozen for a while. As someone who had never been to a city before, I didn't know how things worked. Back home, it was normal not to lock the doors every time you went out, and corn was usually a gift from a neighborly grandma and was hardly ever bought. Of course, working in a corporation was also full of unfamiliarities and failures initially.
What were you doing when you first started working, Mary?
I was a clerk at a commercial company. Hardly any places would hire a country bumpkin who wasn't even fresh out of school.
While enjoying the fancy dishes laid out, my boyfriend, no, my fiancé now, Kevin, and I reminisced about the old days.
Wow. Why did you switch to library work? Was it because of work relationships?
No, I got along moderately well with everyone. But the company was really toxic.
Ah, right. Being new to New York, you wouldn't know which companies were risky.
Exactly. Plus, back then, I didn't even realize it was a toxic workplace. I just thought being overworked was the norm here in the city. Getting used to that is scary.
Back then, I would have taken any job that hired me. I needed to make money urgently because I was running out due to moving and funeral expenses. Compared to my hometown, the salaries here are higher, and there are more trains, so there's no risk of missing one and not being able to get home. That's how carefree I thought. But reality wasn't so sweet. The company I finally got hired at had me working from the first train to the last every day. Only 30 minutes for lunch. No leaving in between. I was saving money, but had no time to spend it. At first, I truly thought that was normal.
That sounds tough. But why did you decide to become a librarian?
I actually had a librarian's license from college. But when I first came here, the library was too far, and I gave up. But then I quit my job, moved, and fortunately got rehired.
Wow. Was there a specific reason you quit?
There was an elderly lady crouched in front of the eye clinic. I took her to the station, but then I was late for work. I got yelled at a lot for it.
It was like the boss was venting all his stress on me, yelling about my being slow at work and my sloppy attire for about 3 hours. I still have trauma from the boss's face at that time.
Gee, Mary, you were just helping someone.
Exactly. And that's when I realized this company wasn't right for me, so I handed in my resignation that day.
That's impressive. I respect that about you. We wouldn't have met if it weren't for that decision, so I'm thankful.
For sure. I hope that lady is doing well now.
That day, my life changed dramatically when I switched jobs and started working at the library. Now I have days off and can even take paid leave. My colleagues are very kind and were welcoming to me as a newcomer. Though my salary is less than what I made at the toxic company, I'm so happy to work surrounded by books I love and feel a great sense of fulfillment. It was at this workplace with a good work-life balance that I met Kevin while he was looking for a book. We hit it off, went out to eat a few times, and started dating. I'm forever grateful to the book that brought us together.
Hey, I want to go and tell my mom about us soon. Do you have any free days?
Maybe next Sunday?
Okay, I'll let Mom know. She's a bit tough, but not a bad person. She'll accept you. No need to be nervous.
Thanks. Let me know what Linda likes next time.
Sure, we can go shopping together. Oh, maybe gifting her a recommended book could be nice.
That sounds great.
We continued chatting over the food and wine that was served. The food was amazing, and the wine was delicious too. I might have had a bit too much to drink, but I'll always remember the joy of receiving the marriage certificate, already filled out by Kevin, at the end. I hope days like this continue forever. Time has passed, and today is the day we're going to Linda's house to report our relationship. It's my first time meeting her, so I'm a bit nervous. I got up earlier than usual and meticulously groomed myself.
Welcome, you both. Thank you for coming all the way here.
Thanks, Mom. This is my wife, Mary.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm a bit awkward, but nice to meet you.
As we entered, a kind-looking woman was there. As I greeted, she quickly led us inside.
By the way, what exactly do you do, Mary?
This question came up while chatting about harmless topics, like where I'm from and my hobbies, when I was feeling quite at ease. The atmosphere shifted slightly.
She works as a clerk at the library.
At the library, huh?
Is there something wrong?
No, of course not, but, well.
I could see Linda's face cloud over a bit. I hadn't expected to be questioned about my job, so my palms began to sweat.
Let me be clear, Mary. You know, living in New York can be a bit pricey. So, I'm a little worried about the financial aspect. Are you sure you want to stick with that job?
She asked apologetically, yet sharply. I could understand Linda's concerns. It's natural to prefer a daughter-in-law who earns well, thinking about the future.
Yes, I have no intention of changing.
However, I answered firmly. I thought I had to convey my stance to Linda right here, or I might never be able to become her daughter-in-law. Though I was afraid, she's Kevin's mother, and I believed she would accept me. So I responded confidently.
I originally worked at a toxic company, but then I switched careers to become a librarian. I believe this job allows me to bring happiness to people through books. It's the first time I've felt such a sense of fulfillment in a job.
That's right, Mom. Mary and I met at the library where she works. It was the books that brought us together. I'll take care of earning money, so no worries there.
Kevin supported my viewpoint and reinforced what I was saying.
I work in this job with great pride. If money ever gets tight, I'm willing to take on part-time jobs or anything else. I want to continue this work that much.
I spoke up boldly about my current thoughts, though in a somewhat forceful tone. Linda nodded deeply, though her face looked troubled.
Well, Mary, I raised Kevin by myself after losing my husband. I can't just hand over my son easily. So, I'd like you to prove yourself little by little to show that you are a worthy person.
Of course, Linda.
I answered loudly with a smile. The tension that filled the room dissipated, and normal conversation began. Finally, the tension eased from my shoulders, and both Kevin and I felt a sense of relief. As we talked more, it became clear that Linda was a family-oriented and kind person. Linda's house is in the neighboring state, so she won't be living with us. But I thought about building a good relationship. 15 years later, as promised, I regularly visit Linda's house. Linda, initially a stern figure, always seemed happy when I brought books and shared her thoughts on them. Eventually, we even started holding regular coffee and book reading sessions. Of course, as a book lover, this was the perfect way to relax and get closer to Linda, a real win-win. I have to thank Kevin for suggesting offering books. Lately, though, I haven't been able to talk much with Kevin. At first, it was a happily ever after marriage, just as I had dreamed. Kevin, kind and considerate, was the ideal husband, helping me forget the loneliness of losing my parents. He would help with house chores and surprise me with bouquets on anniversaries. Every day was filled with happiness. But in recent years, that has faded. As the years go by, it's natural for the initial freshness to wear off. But Kevin's sloppy habits have become more apparent. He used to help do the laundry, but now he leaves it all to me. Sometimes he doesn't even put clothes in the washer or leaves socks inside out. When I point it out, he just says it's a hassle, and if I have complaints, I should do it myself. He's also stopped cleaning up after himself, and despite warnings from the doctor, he hasn't improved his diet and has started finding faults in the healthy meals I prepare. Hey Kevin, don't you think you're being a bit cold? I sighed today, looking at the food left on his plate. I had planned the menu with his iron and calcium deficiencies in mind. He used to praise the food as delicious.
Really?
You come home late, and you don't eat enough.
What are you trying to say?
Do you think I'm some kind of servant? I asked in a lower voice. In the beginning, he said it was natural for spouses to share housework, but now he does nothing. And if I haven't made dinner some nights, he gets angry and goes out. Doing house chores while trying to appease Kevin's moods has become a significant source of stress. I'm fed up with it.
I don't think that at all.
Then what's with your recent attitude? I'm not just some convenient woman for you.
You think I see you that way? I'm amazed. I thought I was showing love. But if it doesn't come across, fine then.
Love? That's hardly.
You know, it's my salary that's keeping us in this nice house. Don't complain.
With that, Kevin went back to his room. I knelt down on the spot, trying to calm the rising turmoil with deep breaths. This has become a daily occurrence. Whenever I point something out, he turns it around to make it seem like I'm the one at fault. Now we no longer sleep in the same bed. Swallowing the words, "I'm suffocating," that almost escaped my throat, I started to clean up the leftover food. I wish my fatigue could just wash away with the running water. That's what I thought as I washed the dishes alone, feeling lonely. A few days later. Today is a weekday, but it's the library's day off, so I'm not working. The weather is nice, so I decided to go to Linda's house and asked her if she'd like to take a walk. Linda agreed immediately. and we were walking in the neighborhood park, enjoying the pleasant sunlight, when Kevin called.
It's serious, Mary. Mom seems to have collapsed.
What? Linda? What is Kevin talking about? Linda is right here next to me.
Yeah. So, I've decided to go back home for a while to see how things are.
Oh, I see. While I was confused, Linda, who had overheard, smiled sweetly and said,
Let's keep me a secret.
making sure he couldn't hear her over the phone while she put her index finger to her lips. The atmosphere changed suddenly, and I almost let out a laugh.
Yeah. Oh, but Mary, you have work too, right? Don't worry, calling might stress Mom out, so you don't need to.
I see. But you have work too, right, Kevin?
It's a family emergency. I have to go, even if it means taking time off.
I see. When will you be back?
I'll be back by next Tuesday night. Bye for now.
With that, Kevin abruptly ended the call. I clutched my smartphone and stared at the ground. Beside me, Linda gently placed her hand over mine.
I'm sorry, Mary. Can you leave the rest to me?
My heart had been pounding loudly, but Linda's words calmed me down, and I went home as she suggested. From then on, Linda and I kept in regular contact and began making various preparations. Days passed, and true to his word, Kevin returned home Tuesday night.
I'm home.
Welcome back. How is Linda doing?
She doesn't seem to be doing too well. I might have to go back to check on her sometimes. So, I might not be able to come home on some days.
Really? Really? Kevin sat on the sofa and said this with a serious look. I responded with an exaggeratedly surprised voice and expression.
Maybe we only have a little time left to spend with Mom, and I want to make the most of it. Do you understand?
Of course. Actually, I'll go too.
No, it should just be the two of us. It's our last time as parent and child. Besides, Mary, you didn't make a great first impression on Mom.
That is. My voice trembled. Kevin muttered something troubled as he picked up his smartphone. Seeing this, I couldn't hold back anymore and burst out laughing while clutching my stomach. Hey, Kevin, you're the best.
What? What's wrong with you, Mary? Laughing when someone's parent is critically ill. What kind of nerve do you have?
Kevin threw his smartphone aside, stood up, and approached me angrily. I stopped him with my hand and then opened the door leading to the next room.
Who exactly is critically ill?
What? Mom, why are you?
It was Linda herself who appeared. Seeing her, Kevin completely lost his composure, his face turning paler and paler. In contrast, Linda, with a fierce expression, confronted Kevin.
What have you been doing all this week?
What do you mean?
As you can see, I'm fine. What have you been up to?
Kevin, avoiding Linda's gaze, stumbled over his words. Of course, he couldn't lie anymore with the very healthy Linda right in front of him.
Hey, Mary, did you call Mom? I told you not to because it might stress her out.
Kevin, now speechless, unbelievably turned his anger towards me. However, I wasn't scared at all since I was clearly in a better position. Look, Kevin, when you called, I was out walking with Linda. I showed Kevin the chat history between Linda and me. It clearly showed our conversation about how I invited her for a walk on my day off from the library and her cheerful agreement. So, it was clear from the beginning that you were lying, Kevin.
But why? You two weren't that close, right? At first, you even complained about Mary's low salary.
That was only at the beginning. The mean things were just to test Mary.
What?
Even after I said those things, Mary kept bringing me recommended books and inviting me out. It's a big difference from you, who never comes back.
Linda said in an exasperated tone, while Kevin kept pressing.
I didn't know that. And why didn't Mary tell me?
I did tell you at first, but lately, you haven't been trying to talk to me. Of course, there was never an intention to hide anything, but Kevin not listening turned out to be his downfall. If he had known about my connection with Linda, maybe none of this would have happened. Kevin hung his head in frustration. His smartphone vibrated, but he was too exhausted to care. Remember when I said I helped an old lady in front of the eye clinic when I was working at that toxic company? That was what prompted me to change jobs.
I remember, maybe.
That was me. Wow, it's a small world, isn't it?
Yes, this was the biggest event that made me and Linda close. While we were having a coffee party, I mentioned this story as a past memory, and suddenly Linda exclaimed loudly,
That was me.
with eyes wide in surprise. Linda had been suffering from a complex eye condition at the time and had come to the city for surgery. However, she got lost after the surgery and was in despair when someone approached her. Since she had just had eye drops for the surgery, her vision wasn't clear, so she couldn't see the person's face. She didn't recognize me by my face, but the story confirmed it for her.
I was so happy to meet the person who helped me back then, and now we're really close friends.
I was too tired at the time to notice people's faces, so I didn't realize it was you. I've always wondered if you made it back safely.
Thanks to you. Well, now to my son. I seem like a terminally ill patient. Maybe next time you should be the one getting eye surgery.
Kevin usually tries to get the upper hand with me, but he clearly can't win against his own mother. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but no sound came out. Just then, the door to the next room opened again, and a woman's voice called, "Kevin, dear?"
Oh, Emma.
Good evening, since yesterday, right?
Emma smiled sadly and faced Kevin. She is a slightly younger and delicately beautiful woman in a floral dress that suited her well. Seeing her slightly shaking shoulders stirred a protective instinct. I could somewhat understand why Kevin fell for her.
Why is Emma here?
After we said goodbye yesterday, I went home and found these people there. They told me everything. You were married, weren't you?
How did you?
I hired a private investigator to check things out in just this past week.
A week ago, right after hanging up from Kevin's call, Linda sent me home and went straight to a private investigator. She didn't care about the cost. She wanted them to investigate her son's affair immediately. Quickly, evidence was gathered, and they were able to locate Emma's home and make contact.
Kevin, you got along well with my parents, right? My mom and dad are really angry. Of course, I am too. They brought me here today to put an end to this.
It turns out Emma was a business associate from work, and she told us it was love at first sight for both of them. Emma didn't know Kevin was married. She said she would never have gotten involved if she had known, and she cried in apology. Her parents, thinking marriage was on the cards with Kevin, were furious when they learned the truth and sincerely apologized to me. While it pained me to see Emma, and even her parents, who were innocent, apologizing deeply, my anger towards Kevin grew even more. That's why I apologized to all three of them too and suggested we meet here today. So, Kevin's affair is out in the open. I'll give you the lawyer's contact later. You can go through them from now on.
You think you can live without me? With the cost of living these days, you can't make it on your salary alone, can you?
Kevin glared at me, almost in a fit of rage. I stiffened slightly. but Linda stepped forward to intervene.
Actually, I've started doing this.
She said, showing Kevin a screen on her smartphone.
What's this?
I recently started investing in real estate, and it's really paying off. That's why the investigator's fee didn't hurt at all.
Linda showed him a graph of her investment rates. Having studied a bit herself, Linda's investment had been a great success. Of course, I helped too, using the knowledge I gained from university and my beloved books. By now, we're probably earning more than Kevin's salary. So don't worry about the money on this end. You should be more concerned about the alimony you're going to be paying soon, since you're about to live a poor life.
What? Alimony? You're joking, right?
No, you had an affair. It's only natural. I'll be collecting for both myself and Emma. Kevin, struggling to find words, suddenly smirked as if he had thought of something clever and pointed at me triumphantly.
Oh, too bad, Mary. I have Mom's inheritance. Fine, I'll pay the alimony. But I'll be back to my usual life soon.
Oh my, how did my son turn out to be so foolish?
Linda held her head in dismay, looking at Kevin, who was proclaiming loudly, "I completely agree."
Come on, Mom. It's a big deal for your precious son. Please.
Kevin, you are a precious son, but I didn't raise you to be this inhumane.
What?
I'm disowning you. You'll have to live on your own from now on.
What about the inheritance then?
I think I'll give it to Mary.
I gasped in surprise. I knew disownment was being considered, but she had never mentioned the inheritance. But knowing she cared about me that much, losing my parents as I had, made me feel incredibly grateful.
Mary, if it's okay with you, how about we become real mother and daughter?
Those words made my body flush with warmth. It was exactly what I wanted to hear. Ever since the day my parents died, I've been so lonely. Are you sure?
Of course. I look forward to our future together.
My mother-in-law. No, my mother opened her arms to me, and I didn't hesitate to jump into them. Ah, the warmth of a mother's embrace after so long. Today was the worst day of my life, yet also the best. Watching us, Kevin erupted. No way.
So, Mary, this was your plan from the start, wasn't it? You approached me aiming for Mom's inheritance and seduced her.
Faced with Kevin's red-faced counter-accusation, I had only one thing to say. You brought this on yourself. It felt like years of frustration were suddenly cleared away. From now on, I can live freely with Mom without being tied down by Kevin.
By the way, this has been going off for a while.
Handing it over, Emma gave Kevin his continuously vibrating smartphone. As Kevin reluctantly answered, an angry shout came through. You're fired.
Trouble with the client? Marriage fraud? There must be some mistake.
A pale Kevin frantically tried to explain, but the call was quickly disconnected, leaving him helpless. The last resort in front of a completely drained Kevin was Emma, still smiling as she had at the beginning.
Emma, you're on my side, right?
Kevin reached out to Emma as if praying to a deity, but she shrugged him off.
Kevin, I was once trapped by a terrible man and thought I'd finally find happiness this time.
Emma.
But you turned out to be the same. I was the one who reported you to the company. Goodbye.
With that, Emma headed for the door. Mom followed her out. I handed Kevin the divorce papers I had filled out and left the house. The divorce with Kevin was surprisingly easy, perhaps because he had given up. After securing a good alimony payment, Linda and I moved to an apartment to avoid any further issues with Kevin. I heard through others that Kevin struggled to find re-employment, likely because we had spread the word about his misdeeds. He probably wouldn't easily find work in the same industrial field again. Hopefully, he's getting a taste of a poorer life now. Good morning, Mom.
Good morning, Mary. It's a lovely day, isn't it?
How about a picnic in that big park today?
That sounds wonderful. Shall we make some sandwiches to take with us?
Meanwhile, Linda and I were living peacefully in our apartment, studying real estate investment, and going to the library. On our days off, we would go out, share book reviews, and enjoy leisurely times. The investments continued to be successful, and Linda's savings kept growing. Being able to spend time with my beloved books and beloved Linda, I am truly happy now.